Alrighty, welcome you back to Parkville, Easter Sunday, Backyard Abundance. What we have going on today, had some frost damage from the two top filter containers on the aquaponics garden. So, made it up to Lowe's, had to go twice. Closed on Easter Sunday, good on Lowe's. And we have to be able to replace the PVC pipe that makes a rain shower effect in the garden. The idea being, the more levels where the water drops and aerates, the more oxygen you get in the water for the fish. So we have multiple tiers, all the purpose of keeping the fish healthy. With that being said, none of the PVC was ever glued together. You don't have to with aquaponics. Learn that one from Rob Bob's Aquaponics on YouTube. Great channel. So today all we're going to do is simply replace. I'm going to drill 2 holes in each one of these new containers, and I'll show you how we fill them up. I got lava rock and I got pea stone as a media. Each time the water goes through the rock, it acts as a filter. Alrighty, let me get things set up. I got some measuring and marking to do. We'll drill some holes, fill these puppies up. Thank you. So what we have, brand new barrel. I want to add this PVC. As you can see, I got spots on the inside. These are just T fittings with caps that I slice holes in. And the idea of that is you don't want all the rocks or any debris to get in and clog it. On the bottom, just being fancy, drilled a bunch of holes to make it more like a rain shower. You do not have to glue any of these fittings. But what I'm trying to do is mark the center. Like I said, I already made these last year. And the idea is to have it as close to level from the top of the container as possible. Came down 3.5 inches. The reason is I want the water to drain around that 4 inches below level. That'll give you roots enough water, but it won't keep them underwater and saturated. If you just let it flow over the top of your planter container, which it can do, it would be too wet and you get root rot. Alright, I'm going to drill a couple holes. It's real easy. Cut through this plastic. Of course, the film in this is ridiculous, but I'll be ambidextrous as I can. Now that right there should be enough. Like I said, you don't have to glue anything. That'll be enough. We'll get this thing filled up. I got some lava rocks that go into the bottom. Just had them from last year. And then I'll have some gravel on top. And that'll be the filter media and what the vegetation gets to root in. So I did not notice this frost damage in this other pot. from last year. So I wound up having to replace both of them, which is fine. This is the filter media from last year. Had lava rock at the bottom. So I'll put that into this new pot. And then we'll have pea stone on the top. Your plants will actually grow in just about any medium. Clay balls, sand, whatever will hold moisture and allow the roots to grow. It's easier for me to do this having a second hand. So, let me get this filled up. Just know that we're putting a lava rock in down the bottom. I'm going to wash off the gravel. It still has vegetation from last year in it. And when it's all filled up, I'll show you what we got. Alright, so I got lava rock all down the bottom. And then I'm just starting to put my pea stone in. But because I have to pick this up so high, I don't want to fill it all the way up. I'd rather fill it up with buckets. What I discovered last year is that I had to put cinder brick in to actually hold the containers down into the bed. They were a little too tall and they were unstable, so I'll have to manipulate this, make sure I get them set where I want, and then I'll actually push all the stone back into it. In the interest of time on this beautiful Easter Sunday, I already started filling up the main tank with water just because it takes so long. It's 100 gallons, 40 gallons in that one. My turd sweller, that's another 20 gallons to go in there. And then I got the big garbage can for the sump at the bottom. So I'll show you all that in better details as we go. Alright, let me get this manipulated, moved up there, working by myself. So I want to make sure I can get that stone in the buckets and fill up here. Keep in mind I got 2 of these to do. I'm ready. It's still Easter Sunday, April 9th, 2023. Got her up and running. Just want to do a quick tour of how this works. 100-gallon tank is what feeds this as a separator. So the pipe comes down into the bottom of the tank. There's an elbow, comes up to the top, same level as the discharge. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to put this lid on and have an upside down bucket. And what'll happen when I have fish in there is the water will actually hit that bucket, and the suspended solids, fish poop, will drop to the bottom of it. Every week or so, open up this valve and have a discharge, nice fertilizer water for the garden. The water comes out of the swirler, hits the sump. Now this is where it all starts. There's just a standard submersible pump there. I think it's a 3rd horsepower, it's not a big one. It runs up the pipe, and I got a series of valves. This valve recirculates it, discharges it right back in, and that allows me to adjust how much water goes up to the top. This valve is no longer used, leave that wide open. And that comes up to the top crossbar. Now because I got gravity fed up into the two pots. These are the first level filtration. If I did not have this valve here, all the water would automatically run out of the first tube first. So I use it to adjust the level between the two. I also have this extension here. We'll get these beds running later. It's about a $35 brass valve here. And that gives you micro adjustments, much easier to run. So the top two beds are flood beds. We'll do it later. We'll show you about these bell siphons and how they work. But the idea is you first run a filtration, drips out of those. They fill these beds to a certain level, and then a bell siphon allows them to discharge. So as you can see, the one on the left is currently discharging, and the one on the right has stopped. I have it set to maintain a certain level of water at which it discharges. Once that happens, it drains to all but a bottom inch of water. There it goes. And as you can see, water's really cloudy. I just changed all the media. So until we run this for a couple days, we'll have the sand and any organic matter from last year still coming through. Now this I split into two different beds. These beds, the level of water is constant and it's set by the drain holes. So underneath that gravel, I actually have caps with slots in them. It allows those to stay at a constant water level. It's below the roots. You can see I have plants coming back from last year. None of this got planted this year. The one on the south side, of course, gets more light, so without the water running, this little guy here has been struggling. It doesn't get as much light. Both of these drain into this, which then returns it back into the big tank. The idea is in both fish tanks, there's a tube that runs all the way to the bottom at the center. So in both fish tanks, it'll literally lift any solids, like fish poop, up and put it into the garden beds where it can mix, grow a nice healthy bacteria, and feed the plants. I feed the fish floating pellet food, worms, goldfish, whatever they eat, and then their waste is what feeds the biome of the plants. Alrighty, so eventually I'll get into all of this and I'll show you how these bell siphons work. Multiple parts to it. If I do decide to expand this, that'll be another video. But it's basically just a cup with holes drilled in it. That determines the water level at the bottom, and then this determines the water level at the top. So when I get this bed all done up and we start getting these set up, I'll show you all the valving. Everything is adjustable. Any one of these can be turned off individually, and of course once you adjust any of that, it changes the balance in the whole system. So that's a little bit to it, but I just wanted to let everybody see both bell siphons are working. I replaced both containers at the top, got a nice aerating flow, and we'll be ready to catch fish here next weekend. Then the fun begins. Alright, happy Easter 2023. We're up and running. Backyard abundance. Bye now.